Hey everybody, welcome to Drunken Housewife Reviews. I'm Sarah, the Drunken Housewife, but today
And,
it's tea,
and I'm her host slash husband, Ian, who tries to keep her on the rails best I can.
and it's a full-time job. Today we are interviewing actor slash chef Jeremy Miller. And I'm super excited about this one.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
definitely.
definitely, because I can talk food for hours. Um, Obviously, let's look at me. But now everybody's like, oh yeah, Jeremy Miller's Growing Pains. But to us, you have a much cooler rep. You were Linus Van Pelt.
Yes, I was. Man, that was quite a privilege. And thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah. We are a total Peanuts family here. And
Oh, yeah.
Same here.
yeah. And when we told our daughter that you were the voice of Linus and now you're a chef, she has a very important question for you that she wanted
Okay.
us to ask, which was, as a chef and a former voice of Linus, have you ever cooked the Peanuts Thanksgiving meal?
I actually haven't. As much as that would be a lot of fun and is actually a good idea. I've never really thought of that. Um, Thanksgiving was always a very big deal at my house anyway, and Peanuts was a part of that.
Oh, yeah.
Every holiday season we watched all of
Oh
the
yeah.
specials, and my grandmother used to cook basically for the neighborhood on Thanksgiving, on New Year's, and on Easter. She would basically throw a big party, big get together, her and my grandfather. And anyone in the neighborhood, I mean, all their friends would be invited, but anyone in the neighborhood who didn't have somewhere to be on the holiday knew they could come to my grandma's and get a plate and have somewhere to be and hang out. And that went for anybody, including the local homeless in our neighborhood. I mean, she'd
Very
have between
cool.
200 and 300 people come throughout the day,
Oh
and it was
wow.
That's
just
wonderful.
it was something that was instilled in me real young. So Thanksgiving's always been about that for me, and bringing
Awesome.
as many people in, any friends or acquaintances I've made throughout the year who maybe are, out this way and away from their family and don't have somewhere to go. It's just a tradition I've tried to keep going.
Oh, that's
Very
awesome. That's
cool.
awesome.
Very
I know,
cool.
yeah, growing up, I mean, not to the scale that your grandmother did, heaven forbid, but yeah, my parents were kind of like that. It's my next door neighbors, their mom was a nurse and ended up working Thanksgiving. And she's like, what am I going to do with the kids? And dad's like, well, they're just coming over to our house. That's it's just,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and my mom's favorite saying, was always, well, it's just one more potato in the pot when having people over. She's like, oh, they don't have anything for
Amen to
dinner.
that.
It's just one more potato in the pot. So,
Absolutely.
and she kind of joked because our house was the house where all the kids came, and
Hmm.
she always joked she didn't know what color her living room carpeting was until my brother graduated from high school and I started driving so I could go to other people's houses. And then she looked at her carpet and she's like, I need new carpeting. When did this happen? And dad's like, we've had teenage bodies sprawled all over our floor, eating and watching TV and,
Yeah.
all of that. He's like, we haven't seen our floors in like 15 years.
Absolutely.
So I think though it is a really special thing to have to know that your house is the place, is the
It is.
house.
Our house was kind of like that in my years as well, from probably 11 or 12 on. It was the congregation place, the meeting place, all of my group of friends. So yeah, we had a very similar thing as well. My house has been always very open and very welcoming to everybody. And truthfully, once you come over a few times and get to meet everybody, my family adopts you. That's just kind of what happens. So
Yeah. Yeah, that happens.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Your mom
my
and dad have been definitely adopted a couple of kids in their time.
yeah, my mom and dad, they never called it adopting. They just said you've been absorbed into the family.
oh, I like that.
You just we've just absorbed you, and we always warn everybody. We're like, if we're polite to you, then we don't like you. But if we're rude to you and tease you mercilessly
family.
about stuff, then
Oh,
your
yeah.
family, welcome on, kitchen's that
Exactly.
way, bathrooms down the hall, fridge is open, So
Absolutely.
yeah, so we have absorbed a few people in our lifetime that
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they're just now family, you know, their
I get
uncle or
that.
aunt or whatever. So that to me is like the only way to grow up, is just knowing that your house is like the place.
I agree. I couldn't imagine it any other way.
Yeah, it's just back to Peanuts. So you were for the Charlie Brown and Snoopy show. Happy New Year, Charlie Brown, which we're going to be watching coming up.
I actually did watch that
Yep.
last night, and I'm sure I watched it at the time it came out, but I don't really. It's not one of the name brand Charlie Brown
Mhm.
specials, so it's a little harder to find. But it was actually a lot easier than I thought, and it was very interesting, especially the couple of songs that are in it. And poor Peppermint Patty in that she's like pretty much throwing herself at Charlie Brown, and Charlie Brown's just
Yep.
I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
all
little
about
red
the
haired
little
girl.
redhead girl.
Yeah. It's like, and yeah, and Peppermint Patty's about ready to slap the crap out of him. It's so funny.
Yep. I really loved getting to do that. I did that one, and I believe I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe I also did This Is America, Charlie Brown.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
We did the Snoopy musical movie
Mhm.
Yes.
special, and then also we did the my group did the talking Snoopy doll cassette tapes.
Oh,
So
wow.
if you recall, like Teddy
Yes,
Ruxpin,
yes,
well,
yes,
they had a
Yeah.
yes.
Snoopy version, and we did, I think, 13 to 18 different story cassette tapes
Oh,
for
Oh,
wow.
wow.
as well. So it was a huge honor to be a part of the Peanuts. I mean, as a kid, I mean, not that
Yeah.
Growing Pains was not
Yeah.
special and even iconic, but to be a part of a legacy like Peanuts was really an honor. And even as a young kid, I got it. I mean, I knew what a
Oh,
big deal this was to be asked to be a part of this.
Yeah,
that
I
was too
just
cool.
that to me, because when I was researching, I was like, well, what else has he done? And I was like, he was Linus. Oh my God. And that's just like, okay, now he's super cool. You were cool before, but now you're super cool. So
I love it.
yeah.
Well, no,
So
it was great. I did it for about 2.5 years, maybe just shy of 3 years.
Okay.
And then, of course, my voice began to change. And,
Yeah.
with Peanuts, they're very particular about the voices. It's actually the reason I got the part was Lee Mendelson, who was the head of Peanuts, the specials
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
TV and all of that stuff,
uh-huh.
was there for my audition, and I basically got hired on the spot. He came in after my read and said, "You sound the most like the original Linus I've ever heard,"
Oh
Oh, wow.
wow.
Very
and
cool.
That is
that
cool.
that's what got me the role. So
Awesome. Yeah, because
Because they're big on having the kids sound like kids, and being in that age range
mm-hmm.
for each era of the series, as far as like special
exactly,
series, blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
And they have managed to keep the voices like
Pretty
really,
close
really close to
for the
each
most
other,
Mhm.
part.
which I mean, I know is super difficult to do.
It really is. And for them to be able to, I mean, given they see a lot of kids, I'm sure,
Yes.
trying to find just that perfect, voice and match as close as they can. And I think they've done a wonderful job with it over the years to keep that kind of continuity.
Yeah, yeah. And
Definitely.
I mean, because I think everybody, well, I know there are some people who are weird who don't like the Peanuts. We'll just accept that. But everybody who loves the Peanuts,
Mhm.
as we do, I think has like that favorite character, that favorite special, that
Mhm.
favorite. And for me, I mean, I'm gonna admit, I've always really liked Linus because he's just that pure voice, that pure soul.
Well, he's like the
Mhm.
the philosopher of he
Yeah,
really is.
yeah,
Exactly.
he's the one that's like, uh, the one that's like, look, Charlie Brown, let me lay some knowledge on you. And then he
Mhm.
Yep.
he, you know, whips out some knowledge on Charlie Brown, and then you're like, oh, okay, now
Yep.
it's all
I
making
always
sense.
loved I always loved how Linus was kind of the voice of reason.
Yes.
And as you said, kind of the philosopher of the group, the one who posited all the interesting questions and stuff like that. So he was
Yeah.
one of my favorites for that reason as well.
Another question that the daughter had was, did you hold a blanket while you were doing the voice to get into character?
I actually did not. Um, it at the time was nothing I had thought of. And no one suggested it, although I would have been more than willing to. But the interesting thing is, in doing, I don't know if it's like this with all vocal work. The two shows that I've done did do it
Hmm.
this way: is there's no back and forth. When you're doing the scenes,
Yes,
you are alone in the booth doing your lines. There's no feedback. There's no, response to the other character.
gotcha.
So it's
Yeah.
unique in that I had only done movies and commercials and some TV shows at that point, which, you have that instant feedback. So it's a very different type of acting and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it would be difficult just because you don't have that ability to play off of that other person, and
Mm-hmm.
how are they saying their lines, how are they reacting to my lines, how for me that would be
Mm-hmm.
difficult, but I know a lot of people are just like they love doing voiceover work, they absolutely love it.
Well, as far as the isolation part of it, I mean, they do have some scenes in whatever you're doing where they would have some back and forth, even though they're still isolated, they can still hear back and forth. But I would say like most of it is just that isolation and just let your imagination go. And some people do that better than others.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
and
God
and
love them.
that's what they had us do, and it was really unique and fun and challenging. So that's one of the reasons I really enjoyed it, that and getting to hang out with
Very
our
cool.
group, because we had the same group pretty much throughout my run.
Okay.
And getting to see them every 3 to 6 months and come into the studio and just hang out and mess around as kids. It was always a real fun time. And we all still kind of keep in touch. And
Awesome.
a few of us, different generations, have now kind of connected and we all get together or do an autograph show together or something like that. And it's just a fun time for us all to kind of get together and reminisce.
Awesome, that is so awesome.
Now, are you doing any conventions as far as like pop culture conventions? As in,
Mhm. Yeah, I actually just got back to doing them. With the pandemic, I actually have my mom and my stepdad living with me, and they both are immunocompromised. So I had to be extremely, extremely careful for a long time. But I actually just got out and did my first show since the pandemic, and I work with multiple different bookers across the country, so they're looking into different shows to start booking me for next year. So I will be
oh, it's
hitting the
wonderful.
circuit again and hitting some of the different cons throughout the country next year.
Awesome. So
Very
everybody,
cool.
check for Jeremy Miller sightings across the country. Um, I'm trying to figure out a seg, but there's just really no way to seg. Um, you fully admit, you said you're a very open book about talking about your recovery journey, which it sounds weird for you to be on a show called Drunken Housewife. And let's talk irony of ironies. Yeah, because I know when we were discussing, it's like, does he really want to be on this show, considering the title? But you know,
We're pretty loose and open. It's like, hey, whatever your groove is,
yeah,
it's all good.
I can tell you from my part, it would have been fine if you wanted to have a drink or a cocktail or a glass of wine. My recovery, I mean, maybe early on in recovery when things are still a little hairy, you want to remove yourself from that and not, be confronted with it. But as you go on, at least in my recovery, a key tenet of that is it's not about anybody else, it's about me. It's not about anyone else having to
Mhm.
change their behaviors around me to accommodate me. It's me making myself okay being in those situations. So I was fine with being around people having a few drinks very early on in my recovery,
mhm.
given my fiance went through the worst of it with me. So it took her probably 2 years before she would have a drink in front of me. Even
Okay.
though probably for a year before that, when we'd go out to dinner or anything else, I would tell her, my love, if you'd like to have a cocktail or a glass of wine, it's no big deal. But it took her probably 2 years to feel comfortable.
Mhm.
And most of my friends have always been that same way. They kind of stayed away early on, but everybody's very respectful of it, just like you guys have been. Everybody usually asks, are you okay if I grab a drink? If I go out to dinner with people I haven't met, they even ask, would it be, a problem if I ordered something? And I always let them know it's no big deal. I mean, I still go to the club with my friends or go hang out with some of my old buddies if they want to go to a hookah bar or a cigar bar or something. And, my one buddy orders his rum and Coke. My other buddy orders a beer. My third friend gets a whiskey, and I'm sitting there with my iced tea, and we have a ball. We
Yeah.
have a
Yeah.
blast. So,
Well, and I mean, for me, like whenever I've gone out with like my niece whenever she was pregnant or stuff like that, I'm like, woo, built-in designated driver. Yes.
exactly.
Everybody's
Exactly.
going to get home safe, but we can still have a good time because we can count on Jeremy getting us home. Yeah. It's like, so
I'm familiar with that.
yeah. So, I mean, there's that aspect, but I was reading about your recovery process. I had
Mhm.
never heard of this technology with the implant.
Mhm.
I did
Yes.
not know that existed. Can you tell us a little bit,
I,
about?
About the
I
working of
absolutely
Yeah.
it.
can. Basically, it's a small pellet. I don't know what format they're using now. The company that developed this has gone through many iterations. Different versions have been multiple pellets. The one I received was one single pellet, and it's basically a compounded medicine called naltrexone. It's actually been around forever. They use it to treat opiates. It's actually in naloxone, the shot that they give people when they've OD'd on
Okay.
opiates.
Okay.
Okay.
And basically, what it does is it binds to the dopamine receptors and it helps block that craving signal.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
in most people, it at least significantly reduces the cravings, and in many people, it just wipes them out, like it did with me.
Oh,
Awesome.
Um,
okay.
Awesome. Okay.
and all it
Very
does, they
cool.
they implant it usually in the lower abdomen area and the fatty tissue, and then it dissolves over the course of anywhere from 3 months to a year. I don't know again what iteration they're working with at this
Uh-huh.
point.
Yes.
It could be longer by now. I don't know because they're constantly doing research. I worked with this company and I actually worked as a patient advocate in one of their recovery clinics
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
for
wow.
almost
Okay.
3 years after
Very
I got
cool.
sober, just because I wanted to be able to give back to them and
Yeah. Yeah.
be able to help some more people. And I got to see how they do things, and they're constantly researching to make it better. But yeah, it's a great program. It's actually called the company's called BioCorex, and it's if someone's needing that extra push, it's an
Mm.
amazing tool. And that's what I told patients every time they came in, because people came in thinking, "Oh my God, I found my miracle." And that's what I would tell them.
Okay.
This is not a cure.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to keep that in mind. This does not tie your hands behind your back and not allow you to drink. This is yet another tool in your bag to help you get past this. And the amazing thing was when the cravings shut off, when I wasn't being bombarded with that constant need anymore,
Mm-hmm.
all of
Hmm.
a sudden I was able to hear what they were saying in recovery. It finally
Okay.
Okay.
made, I could hear it. It finally made sense. And I was able to start actually like doing real recovery work and getting better.
So
So,
it's yeah. So because you combined it with like cognitive behavioral therapy,
mhm,
and so yeah, it's not like a one-stop shop, boom, you're cured,
no,
on with your life. You have to put the work in as well. It's
you
just
absolutely do. And that's again one of the things I always told all the patients was you're going to want some support afterwards. I would tell
Okay.
them, please find, even after you've done all the things you need to do, please find an AA or, a sober recovery, or there's so many different programs that people can go to
Mm.
for
mhm.
support long term. And I would always tell them, believe me, life is always in session. And no matter how good you feel, there's going to come a time where this is going to rear its head. And if you don't have that support, your chances drop drastically.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's
Definitely.
still an all-encompassing type of a thing. You
Okay.
still need to do the work, and like you said, it's just another tool on your belt.
And it's with that implant, it's like a one and done. You only do it once, or is it something that
Well,
you can
it
that you have to
actually
keep
can,
doing, or
you don't have to keep doing it. It
okay.
actually
Okay.
can be done again if you were so inclined.
Okay.
While I was working there, we did have a few patients who, when they got done, even though they weren't struggling, just for their own peace of mind, they wanted to have another round. And
Okay.
so you're kind of able to do that. Now, I will tell you, this is one of the things that made me uniquely suited for being a patient advocate there was I did the opposite. Okay. All the stuff I was telling you, I learned the hard way. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
relied on the medicine. Okay. I
Mm.
was feeling so good, not wanting these cravings and everything else, that I let my therapy and the actual work kind of fall by the wayside.
Okay.
And after about, I don't know, it was 9 months to a year, again, life happened. Some financial issues came up. Things were tough between me and my fiance, and I slipped up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
But
get
I mean,
yeah.
you're human. You're human
Uh,
on top of that. It's
It
Anybody can
happens.
backslide. Yeah.
yeah.
I tell people, relapse does not have to be a part of recovery. But if it is, it also doesn't have to be the end of recovery.
Exactly.
It's
You
just a
know,
step back. It's just
that's exactly it.
yeah.
But I was uniquely suited to tell the patients where this fails and what they can do to continue on. So after I had my relapse, I called the owners of the company and I said, they basically offered me another implant if I wanted it because it was
Okay.
past the amount of time that it would have taken for it to dissolve for me. And I said, no, what I'd like to do is come back and finish my therapy and the life coaching and all that stuff that went with it. And that combined with the programs that I started working afterwards, I've been able to maintain my sobriety for a little over 7 years now.
Good job.
Very
Good
cool.
job.
Congratulations.
To kind of tie it all up, though, the implant's kind of like a security blanket, like Linus had.
There you
If you
go.
think about it,
It
it's just that
absolutely
little
is.
thing that's like, I've got this, but I also need to do this. I also need to work towards this. So it's just kind of tying it all together in a way. Um, you are now, though, one of my favorite people on the planet. Again, a chef. Um,
Yes.
I mean, seriously, you were Linus, you're now a chef. I mean, how much cooler are you going to get from me? Really? I mean, seriously.
I
Um,
love to cook. Like I said, Graham taught me everything. So it was something I was always passionate about.
Okay.
Growing up cooking with her for those events, and then later on, she actually bought a restaurant when
oh,
I think
okay.
just before I was 10 years old. So during the summers, when I wasn't filming Growing Pains, I would go to Grandma's restaurant and I would work there.
Oh
And to
Oh,
wow.
me,
wow.
that wasn't work. It was hanging out with Grandma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, that was my first restaurant experience, and I fell in love with it. And I just loved being able to cook. I worked my way up from being a busboy to being a breakfast cook with her over the period of about 5 years,
Oh
and
wow.
or
Awesome.
5 summers. And it
Awesome.
was just a great experience. And when the time came that I had stepped away from the business for a little bit and was looking for something else to be a little more consistent, I decided, why not go to culinary school? So I went to Le Cordon Bleu program out here in Los Angeles,
Mhm.
and it's been a great experience. I've been doing personal chef, private chefing in homes, as well as catering and doing these private cooking parties I do for going on 16, 17 years now.
Oh
Awesome.
wow.
Any thoughts of doing a cookbook or anything like that? She says, hopefully.
A cookbook is possible. Actually, many years ago, I was in talks with some producers in China. Growing Pains is very, very big over there, about putting together a cookbook and kind
Oh,
of
wow.
doing a reverse Martin Yan, Yan can cook kind of a thing,
Uh-huh.
where I was going to bring local classic American cooking to this cookbook to bring to China.
Oh,
So
okay.
unfortunately,
Interesting.
one of the producers we were working with was not the most honest of gentlemen, and
Mm.
embezzled and did things. And so
Oh,
nothing. Oh, yeah, it was bad.
Oh, man.
Actually, at one point, I apparently had a warrant out for me in China because he had put my name on legal
Oh my,
documents and stuff. He included me in
oh,
his fraud.
oh my
wow.
So,
gosh, that must have been a nightmare.
well, very luckily, I had some very good friends that I was working with in China on new projects who had some good government contacts who were able to go in, explain what had happened, and get everything cleared up.
Oh, thank
So I've been
goodness.
Wow.
able, thankfully, I've been able to return to China twice since then, since it's all been cleared up.
Sure.
But they weren't going to let me in. They basically
Oh
said, if he
Oh,
no.
shows up, we're throwing him in jail. So don't come.
Oh
oh
my
my gosh.
gosh.
I,
But I
I
imagine
was,
that first time back after everything was cleared up, you were probably like, don't,
I was,
can I
it was
sneak
a
in?
little, it was a little unnerving, but knowing that my new acquaintances, my new friends that I was working with, kind of business partners, knowing that they had the connections that they had in the embassy made me feel safer.
It's always
Because,
good to know people.
well, I'll put it this way: you don't walk into the Chinese embassy and take care of a problem like this in under 2 hours, and he did.
Oh, wow. So
wow.
that's somebody
So,
definitely to keep in your corner.
Yes.
like I said,
Definitely.
Well, I can
I
just
knew I had people in
imagine.
my.
I can just imagine the fans of the show, and then this coming out, and them going, "Oh no, not
Oh
Jeremy
yeah.
Miller!"
Yeah.
Oh, and
I'm sure the
especially out
gossip
there,
and
because
everything.
I'll
Yeah.
tell
Oh my
you,
gosh.
Ben was probably the most popular character on the show to them.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Wow.
It was pretty close between me and Alan,
Sure.
his character playing Jason, because he was the dad that they all respected,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
loving father who was there but strict and stern when he needed to be. They looked up to that. But at the same time, my precocious, obnoxious at times character was nothing that they usually saw. Children weren't allowed to behave in that manner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Especially in the 90s when we were showing in China,
Yeah.
you didn't see a young precocious kid talking back and doing all this stuff. That
Yeah.
just didn't happen, and they found it endearing. So it's not quite as crazy now, but I started going back there to do different business and stuff when I was 14, and I'm practically a beetle. It's really kind of weird.
Oh,
um,
wow.
I am not used to that at all, but like the first time I went, I showed up, or not the first time, one of these last times I went, this was quite a while back. I showed up, and the day I landed was the day that Tom Cruise was leaving Shanghai after filming Mission Impossible 3.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
okay.
And the media that went to the airport to cover him leaving stayed to cover me landing.
Really?
And you're like, what? It's what?
What
Me?
is going on? It's very surreal, but they are really wonderful to me out there. I got to take my fiance last time, and they treated us like royalty and just showed us around, and we did some great events out there, worked with a couple of charities, which is something that's always
Awesome.
close to my heart. And it's a wonderful experience. I love Shanghai. It's one of the most westernized cities in
Okay.
Asia.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually one of the few free trade cities in China.
Very
So
Okay.
cool.
American and foreign companies can set up business there and pay incredibly less taxes, and basically do free market trading in this communist country. They have only, I think, 2 free cities set up in China, and Shanghai is one of them. So, I mean, you can go there and see the ballet and see a Western movie and eat at incredible restaurants. I mean, cracked me up. One of the best Italian meals I've ever had in my life was in Shanghai. Uh,
Really?
know, this guy was from Rome, and he basically everything on the menu was imported directly from Rome to this restaurant. And
Oh,
it was one
wow.
of the most popular Italian restaurants in all of Shanghai. And to this day, it's still some of the best Italian food
Oh,
I've ever eaten. So it's a great place. The people are wonderful. And I really enjoy getting to go over there. So I'm
Awesome.
hoping these political tensions start to calm
well,
down a little bit. And
well, hopefully they'll the like the human rights issues and that kind of thing. Hopefully
exactly,
with
that's
our influence and the good vibes back and forth, they might open up a little bit more and be a little more tolerant
that's
and a little more, yeah.
one of the reasons why I've always liked going over there is I'm of the mind, I mean, believe me, do I look at those things that are occurring over there and have a problem with it? You're darn shooting.
Yeah.
But I mean, I was introduced to some of the negative very early. When I first went over there when I was 14, we were going into one of the government buildings, one of the big government sports complexes, and I was going to get to meet the national volleyball team and some other people. And as we got out of the car and we're going in, I saw, I think it was 3 or 4 soldiers leading people behind the building. It was like maybe 2 or 3 guys, but leading them at gunpoint behind the building. And
Oh my
before the
God.
Yeah.
door shut, I heard pop, 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 pop.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So even at 14 years old, I was like, oh boy, okay, we're not in Kansas anymore.
Oh my
I
Um,
cannot
gosh.
even imagine.
Yeah.
but
That
on the,
stays with you. That
it
stays with
does.
you.
But on the other hand, getting to keep going back there and keep creating those friendships and keep fostering that relationship with the people of Shanghai
Yes.
Mm,
and of China, I believe makes a difference,
yeah.
showing them that we are not the evil Americans trying to take over everything,
Yeah.
all the things that they're told, you know, the more I can get over there and show them that's not the case and share what I know and what I'm bringing, with them. I believe that does as much, if not more, than, a lot of the rhetoric. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the same thing happened in the 80s with Soviet Russia, where
mhm,
the artists started going over and playing there, especially like bands like the Scorpions, Billy Joel,
I was gonna say, please
yep,
bring up Billy
Billy Joel.
Joel.
But then there's like
yep,
these different like where they would come in and they're like, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful, this, that, and the other, and things started to slowly break down as far as like it was more being more what the people wanted rather than the leaders wanted. Even though it's kind of a weird thing now, it can still
mhm.
happen and it can happen at any time. And that's the more you can do the humanitarian thing and show that we're all human, the easier it will get most of the time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
agree. And I think, personally, because I've had people ask me, why do I still go over there? You know, shouldn't you boycott? Shouldn't you? And no, I don't believe I should. Now, maybe someone else has a different feeling about that. And I'm perfectly fine with someone feeling like, no, I shouldn't be doing business over here. I shouldn't, more power to you. But I don't believe that's, for me, the best way to try and make a change.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you really do have to have that face to face. You have to be like, this is me. This is, let's
Mhm.
learn from each other. Let's, you know,
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And
foster
that's the
some
truth.
kind of friendship. Yeah.
I really feel like the more things can, change along the humanitarian side over there, the more we as two countries can continue to look at each other as economic rivals who sharpen each other and push each other to be better rather than global adversaries, the better we're all going to be. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely, definitely. And I mean, you have the unique position though of, I mean, not only your celebrity over there, but I truthfully believe, again, bringing it back to the fact that you're a chef and I love
mhm.
food. But I mean, food does open doors. I
Oh,
mean,
it,
like the
it
guy with the Italian
absolutely does.
restaurant,
Mhm.
in the middle of Shanghai. Nobody, that to me is amazing. He's,
So,
you
we've
know,
talked about many different things. I've gotten to cook over there. One of the first times I went over when I was working on an early project, I think, I want to say maybe 16, 17 years ago now or so. I got to study there. I did what's called a stage, which is an
Okay.
apprenticeship. And I apprenticed while I was there filming. I apprenticed at this little French restaurant, this little French bistro, and also a classic Shanghainese restaurant.
Oh,
Very
So
cool.
after doing that, I then have done little cooking things every time I've gone back. We did a big cooking event for a bunch of local orphanage kids and stuff like that.
okay.
And I have actually been in talks at different times with the Department of Agriculture and a few others about possibly working with them on some projects in being in collaboration with China on trade and stuff like that. So
That would
like,
be amazing.
doing shows over there highlighting some of our products and produce and things that we would want to import over there, and doing something that showcases that to help with whatever I could. So I've been able to combine their love for the show with my cooking and with a
Yeah.
lot of different stuff. So it's been really cool. It's been a great relationship with Shanghai.
Yeah. Because I mean, we may not all speak the same language, but everybody's got to eat.
Yeah,
Oh
You
food
know,
yeah.
is the universal language.
it
That's for
is.
sure.
It is. Food is universal. And speaking of food, um, sorry, it's just like you're like, the coolest person ever for me right now. Um, I was trying to think of kind of a fun little question thing to do with you. And I came up with this, not that. So since we've just gone through the Thanksgiving season and we're going into the Christmas season,
Mhm.
um, holiday side dish that you absolutely positively love and always hope that it's on the table or that you insist on making every year.
Hmm. Honestly, my stepfather actually has a Brussels sprouts dish, and it's incredibly simple. And it's just Brussels sprouts, bacon, onions, and mushrooms. But the way he does it is so
Hmm.
spectacular that I demand that he makes it every single year.
That
That
sounds
sounds
amazing to
really
me. I mean,
interesting.
you're not a Brussels sprout fan, but I love Brussels
But
sprouts.
the mix of that together, it's like I
You
would be
might
willing to
try
try
it.
it.
You
I would be
oh,
willing to try that.
you might be willing to try it.
So yeah, that's the one. I mean, I there's all the classics, of course. I mean, I've always, as a kid, I was a stuffing guy. I mean, as a kid, you could load my plate with
Yeah.
stuffing, and I would have
Yes.
been perfectly happy.
His
But
sister makes the best. Like every
oh
Oh my
year, it's like,
gosh.
did Kathy bring her stuffing? Because if she didn't, I'm leaving. That's it. I'm leaving. Okay. Holiday side dish that you really wish would just go away.
hmm, maybe ambrosia.
Totally
I
understandable.
as a kid of the 80s, I grew up being force fed ambrosia at every holiday. Other than that, not really. I love all the classics. So
I know that there are just some people that are like, oh, I can't stand when I see this, or I can't stand when. My big
mhm.
thing is the marshmallows on the sweet potatoes. Why? Why are we, you have sweet potato pie, you've turned it into a dessert, but why do we have to put the marshmallows on the sweet potatoes? I don't know.
I get it, but I gotta admit, I love it. Raised with it and always loved it. So
Okay. Food that if you've eaten it 3 times this week already and somebody offers it to you, you're still going to eat it.
pasta. Uh,
That's my downfall.
honestly,
Yeah.
that's probably one of my go-to comfort foods. I mean, in almost any form, but generally a good pasta with a nice red sauce. Um, you know, maybe a nice sweet Italian sausage or something to go with it. But
Oh, there you go.
Oh, you're speaking his language right there. His downfall is pasta.
Oh
oh yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sausage with
trust me, I know.
mushrooms and green peppers. Yep. There you
There
go.
you go.
There you
Heck
go.
yeah.
Now I'm hungry. Um, food that no matter how much money somebody offers you to eat it, you will never ever eat it.
Honestly, there's not much. I'm willing to try anything at least once. Well, almost anything. No
Almost
one's
anything.
no one's scooping the brains out of some little monkey and offering it to me, and I'm not okay with that. I
Okay.
draw the line at that and dog, and
Okay.
anything I consider overtly cruel, but I have tried, I mean, traveling as I have tried some very, very strange things over the years. And of all the things that I've tried that I really feel I could completely do without is I've tried jellyfish tentacles multiple times.
Oh,
And to me,
oh.
it's like chewing on rubber bands.
Gotcha.
So
See, that's
I know people,
calamari for me. I've tried calamari and it's like deep fried rubber band to me. I'm like,
uh,
no, I'm
you
good.
gotta have good, because good calamari, really quality, shouldn't be like that. A
Okay.
quality calamari, usually when it's rubbery, it's been frozen too long. That's usually one of the
Gotcha.
signs.
Okay.
So a really quality calamari, your teeth should go right through like butter.
Okay. Cause yeah,
And I have
somebody was like, try it. And I'm like, okay, I'll try it. I took a bite and I'm like, this is like chewing on a rubber band. Why do you like this?
Well, I'll tell you, I have friends who are Asian because the jellyfish tentacles is a very you
Yes.
find in a lot of different Asian
I was getting
cuisines,
ready to ask because that
and
seems to
they
be
will tell me, oh, you just haven't had it made right. And I'm like, well, I've been taken to like three different places that everybody says makes it the best, and it
That's funny.
hasn't changed. So, out of all my travels, that's probably that, or I did try pickled fish eyeballs.
Oh,
I'm skipping dinner tonight now,
yeah,
man. You
yeah.
have
That's
the Brussels sprouts and
You
then you
said
went
you
with
were
pickled
hungry. I
eyeballs.
wanted to help. I was trying to get rid of that for you. So,
Ah,
well, you did a good job.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Thanks.
so that one was a little brutal as well. I don't really
Uh,
have any need to ever try that again.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Somebody's just setting up a kitchen for the first time. Thing that everybody should have in their kitchen.
A heavy pot and a good knife.
Okay.
Both of them are good investments. You know, if you're going to buy a quality one of either one of those, they're not going to be cheap. If
yeah,
it's a pot, as Anthony Bourdain once said, if it feels like if I brought this down on someone's head, they would be going to the hospital, then you have a good heavy pot, a good quality pot. If it feels flimsy and you feel like, oh man, I'd have to whack them as hard as I could and they may still come after me, it's not quite quality enough. Um, and then a good knife, a quality knife, and truthfully, you only need a chef's knife. I mean, a regular 8-inch, chef's knife, you can do every job in the kitchen with that. Now, I mean, you can have every fancy knife you want to do different things. And if you're a collector, that's great. But if you're just looking to set up a really quality pot and a quality chef's knife, and you'll be able to cook just about anything you need.
Okay. Our big favorite cutting tool, because I have problems with my hands, is
Mm-hmm.
a mezzaluna.
Oh, yeah.
That so if somebody has problems with their hands, I highly recommend one of those because it's just so much
Absolutely.
easier for me to cut
A
with one of
mezzaluna
those.
is wonderful. You can do any kind of slices you want. It's incredibly fast. The only drawback with those is you really have to pay attention when you are doing it because
Yes.
the level of sharpness on those razors is insane. And
yes,
even chefs maybe get distracted for half a second just as they're going down. I mean, I've seen it. I've seen
Yeah.
guys lose an entire tip of the finger.
oh,
I've
Well, I'm not
seen
one of those. I know you're probably one of those chefs that's cut, cut. No, we're rocking and chopping. We're rocking and chopping. We're
oh
rocking and
no,
chopping. Oh,
that's perfect.
slow and steady. I'm
Yep.
not
But see, but
because
that rocking is exactly what makes it so easy and lets you do it quicker and as accurate. So
yeah.
it's a great tool, and I love having them. For anybody who has grip issues and things like that, it is the way to go.
Okay.
oh, yeah.
Thing that probably a lot of people have in their kitchen that you're like, just throw it away. Just throw it away. It's useless.
Hmm.
Oh, I may have stumped
That,
him.
that's a really good question. For me, it'd probably be a garlic press,
Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
although it does speed things up because it is essentially pureeing the garlic. You can never properly brown that garlic. There's too much liquid. It
Oh,
becomes too too thin, basically. So from an Italian cooking standpoint, the garlic press is just not, yes, it's faster, but you'll always get a better product in the long run if you slice the garlic thin and then mince it as fine as you want.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. What was my other? I had one other question.
So there's more cooking questions
Yeah,
or
yeah, it was there was another cooking question, but now I'm drawing a complete blank because we got off on the mezzaluna and all of that.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can go to post
Well, I say we could give
growing
you a moment.
pains
Yeah.
post growing pains entertainment things as far as
Yes,
like
because you
roles
haven't
in
quit
movies and stuff.
acting totally. You're still kind of keeping your toe in the water.
Mhm.
And you've done some acting. So would you say you're like 75% cooking, 25% acting, or is it a 50-50 split? Or is it just when something fun comes along, you're like, yeah, let's do it?
That's really more of what it is when
Okay.
something fun comes along, when a script comes by my way, either, my manager sends me something, or I have lots of friends in the industry still who will keep me in mind and send me a script and say, hey, we got this part for you, I think you'd be really awesome for it. Actually, that just happened with the last film and show that I did. Darius McCrary, who played the older brother on
I mean
Family
blanks.
Matters.
Family matters.
I
Yes.
cannot believe I blanked, but who played the older brother on is an old friend of mine,
Yes.
somebody that I go way back with. And he was doing a film. They needed an actor to fill in as one of the police officer roles, and he thought of me. So he sent
Oh,
me the script.
Okay.
It looked great. It looked like a lot of fun, and it was a really solid script. So I said, hey, I've never gotten to play a cop before. Let's give it a shot and let's have some fun. And
here we
we
go.
actually filmed it during quarantine, which was very interesting.
I can
Um,
imagine.
Different
well, it
roles
was
and
it was
stuff.
really
Yeah.
kind of cool to see because the director of photography used the shot angles to keep us distanced. So even though in
Okay.
a lot of scenes it looks like we're right there talking to each other, we're a good 6 feet apart, but they,
Okay.
just use the angles to make everything look the way it should. So for me, that was really interesting to watch them do that and work around these new limitations.
Yeah.
Um, and it was a lot of fun. So it was a movie called True to the Game. It's True to the Game 3, actually,
Oh,
and it's
Okay.
a street drama. It's a crime drama about a gang member who's kind of trying to get out of the life, and we're the cops trying to take down him and some of the other guys.
okay.
Okay.
But it's a really fun, really interesting film, and it was just great to get to shoot. But I
Yeah.
got that because one of my good friends remembered me and thought I'd be perfect for this role. So that's how I come by a lot of my roles nowadays. And for me, it's just, does it look worthwhile? Does it look like it would be fun? Is it something maybe I haven't gotten a chance to do before? And then, yeah, that's when I give myself the opportunity. But I don't chase the auditions on a daily basis anymore.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
really the difference.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know I have a few friends that are actors that are just like, oh my God, if I go to one more audition, I think I'm gonna scream. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that. How that because that just seems so stressful to me is audition after audition after audition after audition, and maybe you'll get that part. I'm like,
It
that would
does take a lot of tenacity.
yeah,
It really
that
does.
that requires a whole different person than I think
Yeah.
I will ever be. My dream, seriously, I just want to play like dead body number 3 on CSI or Criminal Minds or something like that. That's my dream.
That's awesome.
It's a small dream, but it's mine.
Well, see, I would
You know?
totally be happy with doing extra work, just showing up on
Mhm.
set, doing whatever, and going home with a paycheck and something to eat and just hanging out. I think that would be just as fun as being the known actor or whatever. If you're steady with
Well,
it, you're having fun. Why not?
I can tell you, my stepfather did that for a while. Actually, my mom's current husband, he basically was a regular extra on almost every major show in the early 2000s.
Oh wow.
Wow.
West Wing and Scrubs and ER, and and he wasn't doing it. The reason he actually got so popular amongst the casting directors for the extras was that he wasn't trying to be the next Tom Cruise. He
Yes,
wasn't there bugging them about, can I get my SAG voucher? Can I, can I do this? Can I do it?
exactly.
He was just there to enjoy himself, go home with a little paycheck at the end of the day, and have fun. And that endeared him to so many casting directors that he works for probably 3 years straight on so many different
Oh,
shows.
wow.
Very
And
cool.
and like you said, he had the same mentality that you did. It was just, I'm here to enjoy myself and have fun and be a part of this, this incredible experience.
Yeah, because I
Oh
know
yeah. Well, when you take your ego out of it and just do the job
mhm.
and do the part and just go with it, then everything else will just fall into it. And
Yeah.
everything will fall into place
Exactly.
what you want to do.
Because I know I'm addicted to TikTok. Admitting you have a problem is, yeah, one of the first steps. But there is a guy on there that does, extras that gave it their all. And he'll show clips from like shows and stuff like that where extras were working so hard to pull attention towards themselves. And I watch those, and
Yep.
in my head, I can just hear the director going, God damn it, somebody get that guy.
Yeah.
Somebody smack him
Oh
because
yeah.
he's driving me crazy.
Yeah,
And that,
I can tell you our director would have called them out, and it did happen, at times, not often, but it did
Still,
happen at times. And our director would call them out, and he wouldn't, shred them in front of everybody, but you could be sure that our production assistant got a little voice in his microphone and took them aside and,
yeah,
said, "Look, knock it off
yeah,
yeah,
because
because you're not the show."
yeah,
yeah.
because I know, I mean, I've directed community theater, which is like, this big up to Hollywood, but
Hey, still,
I did have an actor that seriously his job was to say two lines, drop suitcases, and leave the stage. And he's like, so what is my motivation for my character? And I'm just like staring at him for a moment, like, I can't kill this person. I cannot kill this person.
Mm,
I can't. Okay.
yeah.
And it's like, Joe, your motivation is to say your two damn lines, drop the suitcases as loudly as you can because that's the joke, and then walk off the stage. Can you do that?
mhm. I
Okay.
can
But I
tell
mean,
you
like,
there
is he
are
annoyed when he drops the suitcases? I'm like, just drop the suitcases, please, for the love of God.
there are many, many professional big time directors who feel exactly as you do. There have been many that have given interviews and are like, the
Oh,
most frustrating thing in the world to me is when an actor comes to me and says, "What's my motivation?"
Yeah. It's just like, you have two lines. What? That, and
oh,
I was in an Agatha Christie play, which already, is complicated because Agatha
Yep.
never went the straight line to the end. And my character I was the doctor, and I had to say this other character and I still remember it. This character was suffering from encephalitis lethargica.
Ooh.
Right before I went on stage, I'm backstage going, encephalitis lethargica, because it's like a tongue twister. Guy standing next to me goes, that sounds like you're saying Encyclopedia Britannica. And so I go on stage and I get ready to
Yep.
say encephalitis lethargica. And I had to stop myself because I almost said Encyclopedia Britannica. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to commit murder, because everybody backstage, when he said that, they were all like, he gonna die. He's gonna
Oh yeah.
die tonight.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he's gonna die tonight. And when I came off the stage, they were like, yeah, he's hiding in the dressing room. It's okay. You're gonna be okay. Because I'm like,
Yep. Uh,
oh, so yeah, I imagine like everybody who's ever acted in anything has stories like that where you're just like, I'm going to have to kill someone now.
get
absolutely. Well,
Get
I
the
mean,
bail money ready. Gonna have to kill him.
imagine working with someone like, now I was friends with most of the kids who were on Home Improvement. I was a
okay.
little older than them, but I knew them, and they were in ABC shows, so we traveled in the same circles. And Tim Allen made their lives impossible for the first 2 or 3 years at least, because he's an improver.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he starts riffing on lines, and these poor kids are standing there going, "What's my cue?
Yeah.
I didn't hear my line that I, because he's just,
Oh,
and again,
yeah.
he's a brilliant comedian, and that's what he does. He improvs a lot of his stuff, and he just kind of goes with it. But I mean, those kids were really young, and trying to work off of that when you're not used to it
Yeah.
is very, very difficult. And I mean, I'm not saying anything bad against him. The kids loved him, but in the
Oh,
early
no.
years, it was kind of a joke that they'd just be standing there like a deer in the headlights.
They're like,
Right.
can I talk now? Can I
Do I
say
say my
mine now?
line? When do I
Yeah.
start? What do I do?
Yeah.
I can totally see that because I also watching Robin Williams with anybody. I mean, anybody on
Oh,
stage
he's
with
keeping
Robin
up with
Williams
him.
live.
Yeah.
I just pray for them. That's just about all
Well,
I can do. Just pray.
That's how
Because
I don't know how the people on Mork and Mindy did it, because not only did you have Robin Williams, but you also had Jonathan Winters, one of
Yes, when
the
he
other
joined.
craziest
Yes.
comedians ever. And they both would go I mean, I don't know how they got any work done. I really
Yeah.
don't.
there's got to be just like, I mean, vaults and vaults full of the outtakes of those two.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
just
I'm
going off.
sure.
Yeah.
Just going off, because I
Oh
I
my God.
remember and I wish I could find this special somewhere because it was um it was Carl Reiner,
Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg, Robin Williams, and Carol Burnett.
Oh, wow.
Those four
And
together is just,
it was
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
But there was
You
this
can find it
one,
on YouTube.
yeah, there's this one skit where Carol Burnett was playing a widow and Robin Williams was a guy who rode the bus with her husband every day. And they did the skit and it was hilarious. And then she comes out and she goes, so Robin wants to do that again, and we're going to let him and pray for me.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh my God. And the second time they did it, it was even more hysterical. And she's trying not to break.
Mhm.
And, as the widow, she's
Oh,
got the
yeah.
hanky. She can hide her face. She can look like she's crying.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, this woman has been, with Tim Conway and Harvey Korman. And
Mhm.
now, and they all have broken her. Yes. And
At
it's
one
just,
point or another, exactly.
yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes. And I often wonder if on the Carol Burnett show, it wasn't let's see if we can get Carol to break.
Oh,
Let's see
I'm
who can
sure
break
it
Carol
was. I
today.
Oh, I'm
absolutely am sure
sure.
it
Or
was.
Yeah.
let's see who can get Harvey to break today. And those are the
Mhm.
best. Those
They're-
are the best.
Well, they're probably laying bets on who could do it first. I'm sure
Oh.
there's, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. And I would love to see the outtakes of that. I really would love
Oh,
to
yeah.
see the outtakes.
Well, can
Mhm.
we ask him about the one movie that you showed me?
I can't pronounce the one movie.
Marijuana.
Marijuana? It's a,
I found that interesting. Can you tell us a little more about that?
yeah, because I was reading that off to him and I'm like, I can't pronounce this, but look at the description.
Yeah.
This sounds like it's up
So
your alley.
it was a really slapstick horror slasher type thing that we did. And the basis was basically that there was this ceremonial marijuana that if smoked any other time but this one night at this one time, it would summon this evil, like, killer iguana type thing.
Sweet.
And I mean, it was just,
Iguana?
I'm
it was
there.
completely just out there and slapstick. And I basically played the dealer guy who was warning them off of,
Oh, there we go.
Oh, don't do
smoking
it.
this on this night because it was not the right time. And
Gotcha.
it was just a very slapsticky,
That's
goofy,
fun.
fun.
It sounds
And,
fun.
We're like trauma movie fans, so we totally like get that whole kind of
Yeah.
low budget, crazy, just
Mhm.
wackadoo kind of fun thing. And when you mix in the horror stuff with it, even better, even better. I'm like a big
Those are
Evil
some of
Dead
the most
fan,
fun.
so
Yeah.
just really crazy stuff. That's right up my alley. So I'm gonna
Okay,
have to check
we
that
will have
out.
to add that to your watch list
Yes.
and find it. It's there somewhere. If it's not on YouTube, he'll find it.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. That's his
Sweet.
superpower, is finding all those little obscure things that nobody else can find.
Well,
So
I hate to say it, but it's about that
yes,
time.
because believe it or not, I'm going to have to cook dinner after this.
But
No
definitely
worries,
I
no
give
worries.
some plugs, plug
Yes,
away, whatever you
to
got
plug
Oh
going
yeah,
on,
absolutely. We've got
upcoming
lay it on us.
anything.
well, I've got a couple movies that I'm tied into that hopefully we'll be filming next year. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
Two of them were postponed because of the pandemic and because of investors having to utilize money for their businesses. We lost funding in one of them and things like that. So we'll see if they move forwards. But actually, a really exciting thing I have coming up, and it's just coming up soon, is December 17th and 18th in Bedford, Virginia. We're doing a live cooking show that is going to be basically to benefit two wonderful charities. And
Okay.
basically, what we're doing is do you remember the original Emerald show
Yeah.
Yes,
where
love Emerald. Yes.
he'd have like 10 people sitting around the island and then he'd have the big audience. Well,
Hmm.
that's kind of like the cooking parties that I do normally. So we're
Okay.
doing it on a grander scale. And what we're doing is we're going to have 12 seats right up front with me. Those people will be able to actually interact and essentially take one of my cooking classes. I'm going to be cooking right there for them, showing them how to make everything. And then they'll get to eat little tasting portions of everything I make. And the really cool thing is, we're going to sell tickets as well for the audience. And although they won't be able to interact directly with me, they'll still get to learn the dishes. They'll still get to see what's going on. But they will also, the Blackwater Creek Event Center and Catering, where we're going to be holding it, their chefs are going to cook my menu and they're
Oh,
going to actually feed all the rest of the people who buy tickets as well,
oh,
so that
Oh,
wow.
everybody gets a chance to try my menu. So it's a
Awesome.
okay.
wonderful event. It's for charity, completely tax deductible, but it's going to be benefiting the Bedford International Film Festival, which is a
Okay.
great organization that's trying to offer opportunities to local aspiring filmmakers as well as
Oh, okay.
international filmmakers who are in areas that just don't get seen, that don't really
Yes.
have the normal avenues to get noticed. And they're also
Very
starting
cool.
to do classes as well to offer training to help these artists kind of
Okay.
further their craft. So
Awesome.
part of the donations will be going to them, and the second part will be going to New Freedom Farm, who is a wonderful charity there in Virginia, who's basically they're helping work with veterans and first responders who are dealing with PTSD and traumas.
Okay.
And
Yes.
they do equine therapy and also rural, actually working on the farm and things like
Hmm.
that. And it basically gives these men and women a feeling of accomplishment every day, going out there and doing something where they can see the instant results, as well as forming relationships with these horses, which I don't know if you know much about equine therapy. I
Oh,
had to
yeah.
learn a lot about it. But it does just wonders for people who are dealing with trauma, the way that horses interact and can understand and sense your emotions and things like that. So
Yeah.
they're seeing wonderful results helping these men and women with trauma and PTSD. And it's just something that's kind of close to my heart. Most of my family served. My brothers, my son served in Afghanistan. So it's just something that's very close to me.
Awesome.
And so those are our two charities. And if you happen to be in the Virginia area or anywhere near and you can travel, please come down, buy a ticket. We're going to be doing it both the 17th and 18th. Um, Even if you can't come, you can still go online and buy tickets to donate just to the charities.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
I said,
Good.
all of the tickets are by donation only. So even if people can't come and they still want to support these two wonderful charities, you can go and you can actually, still donate.
Okay.
Okay.
You can
And you
find all
have,
the information. Hmm?
yeah, I was
I was
gonna
going to
say
say,
you
yeah,
have the information on your
yeah,
Facebook. Yeah.
you can find all the information on my social media. I have multiple links on there, which is on Instagram, it's the real Jeremy Miller. And on Facebook, it's Mr. Jeremy J. Miller. Mr. Jeremy J. Miller. And
Okay.
also on the Bedford International Film Festival Facebook site as well are all the links and all the information. So it's going to
Awesome.
be a really fun event. I'm really looking forward to it. I fell in love with Bedford about 4 years ago when I went out to the first event for the International Film Festival, and I was one of the judges. And We got to do a big Q&A panel and stuff like that. But
Awesome.
Virginia is just incredibly beautiful. Anyway, I mean, that whole area
Mm-hmm.
is the scenery, but Bedford in itself is just this small, quaint, it's like stepping back in time.
Oh,
You know,
okay.
the people and everything. It's just, I fell in love with the place. So it's going to be a great time. We're going to have a ball, and we're going to eat some really good food. Not to make your mouth water too much, but
I
we're
know.
doing,
When we're done here, I'm hitting you up for that Brussels sprout
well,
recipe because,
we're doing olive oil poached shrimp.
oh,
We're doing a sweet sausage, sun-dried tomato, and kale Tuscan soup, uh,
Ooh.
okay.
wild mushroom risotto, and then we're ending with a pan-fried beef braciole with prosciutto and provolone.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, that sounds wonderful.
oh my gosh. Now
So
I'm hungry again.
it's
I've
going to be
recovered from the
it's
fish
going to be an
eyeballs and I'm back to
absolutely
hungry.
it's going to be an absolutely wonderful time and some amazing food. So, like I said, if you want to support these two great charities and you want to come on out, please come and join us. It's going to be a ball.
Sounds amazing. And
Okay,
I,
well, today is the 9th, and I should be able to have this episode edited on the 11th or 12th, and I'll have it uploaded and send you a link since you have this going on the 17th. That way you can still send it around and be part of
Perfect.
that advertisement for that.
yes,
So,
yes.
I
And
appreciate that.
hopefully someday soon a cookbook deal will
mm,
fall in your lap. I'm throwing that out into the
We
universe.
will see.
mm.
He needs a cookbook so that, I can
Oh,
try his recipes.
and also, we're both extra actors with free flight benefits, just in case
Yeah,
you need one of
There
us
we
to,
go.
yeah.
for
Hey, we will
anything.
keep.
So there you
I
go.
have friends who are doing things all the time. I'm not kidding. So, hey, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's I'm what there was a guy that was just on TikTok that like for 300 and some days, he posed himself as a dead body because he wanted to be on CSI and they actually saw it. And he
Yep,
was on CSI
there you
recently
go.
as a dead body in the morgue.
Brilliant. Now that
Yeah,
is persistence, and that's
Uh,
brilliant.
I'm like, dang, why didn't I think of that? I spent all that time wasting my life on TikTok and he actually made a dream happen on it. So it can happen. Well, this has been absolutely amazing. Any other projects you have coming up that you need promotion for, let us
Nope.
know.
I actually have a book that I wrote.
Oh,
Yes,
We
yeah.
have the
yes,
Plug, plug,
plug.
plug.
Well, we have the audiobook available as well, but it's called When I Wished Upon a Star. And it's the true story of me and one of my very dearest friends, who's basically now my other brother. And Dr. Brandon Phillips was a Starlight Wish kid
Oh, okay.
who
Okay.
had a heart defect. He wasn't expected to live to see the age of 20, and he was granted a wish. And out of all the things he could have done, his wish was to come to the set and meet me.
Oh,
Oh man, talk about tearjerker.
And
yeah.
getting to come and meet me helped change his life and turn his
That's
life around
wonderful.
and put him on the path that led to him becoming a pediatric cardiologist, treating children with the same heart conditions that he has.
Very
And
Wow.
in
cool.
turn, later on, when I was going through my addiction, he turned around and basically saved my life. And it's just kind of a story of our friendship over the years and how our lives have constantly intertwined and how God has kind of put us right where we needed to be for the other one, just kind of throughout our whole lives.
Awesome. And is that like available on Amazon or
It's available everywhere, actually. It's
everywhere?
All
available on
over.
Awesome.
Amazon.
Okay.
You can actually get it on our website as well,
Okay.
whenIwishedUponAstar.com.
Okay.
But you can get it on Amazon. You can get it anywhere. The audiobook version, I don't know if Amazon has gotten it onto Audible yet.
Okay.
But
Okay.
if you purchase it on Amazon, you then can listen to it on Audible.
Okay.
Okay.
It's
There you
just I
go.
don't know if we're in the Audible library yet. They take a while to
Gotcha.
update that every
Yeah.
time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Awesome. I'll
it's
check
available
that
for
out.
reading. It's a great book. Many people find it incredibly inspiring. It tells, I mean, we're very open about my struggles, what I went through. I given because I lived it, I find Brandon's story so much more fascinating. He grew up in rural Louisiana in a town, that didn't even have a stoplight. and aspired to, greater things. And I
That was
was
wonderful.
very blessed to play a very small part in that and to have become a part of this incredible man's life. So
Wow. It just, I mean, it goes to show how just one thing can just turn
Oh, the
everything.
domino. Yeah, just kind
yeah.
of,
absolutely.
affected this, affect that, affects
Yeah.
this.
And you
Yeah.
never know if you're
Interesting.
going to be that one thing or
Yeah.
or what. So yeah, it's a small world. It's a small world after all.
Anyway,
don't want
this
to
has
get
been
demonetized.
Yes, don't sing songs that people know. I keep
Exactly.
forgetting. I keep
Anyway,
forgetting.
this has been
Oh, yeah, this has been Drunken Housewife Reviews with the incredible Jeremy Miller, who is super cool because,
pretty much done it all.
yeah, voice of Linus. He's a chef, author.
Iconic TV show. And
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
just yeah,
you
very cool.
you
And
have reached super cool status with us. So
yeah, just let us know when you want to come back and just chat. If anything
yeah.
else, we love to hear stories too.
Yeah,
If you got
Awesome.
anything, that's cool.
Oh, I could go forever. I never shut up.
I that's how he talked me into this because I never shut up either. And he's like, you can make a living doing this. And I'm like, well, let's
There
give
you
it a
go.
try.
There you
He's
go.
a boss.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go. So yeah, this has been great. We'll definitely have to have you back on.
I would love it.
Yeah. So thanks.
Okay.
Thank you both so much for having me on.
Okay, that was the incredible Jeremy Miller.
Jeremy Miller.
Yeah. And I stayed sober for this one, and I cannot talk.
that's
Jeremy
funny.
Miller. There we go. Who is incredible, who is one of the coolest people on the planet, just because he was a Peanuts character. It's like, yeah, he was on Growing
Yes.
Pains, but he was Linus. He's amazing.
He's got the cooking thing going on.
yeah,
As far as like what was the name of the charity again?
I have blanked on it.
We have blanked on it, but we're gonna put up
Yes. We'll
links
put up
in the comments
links
and
down
stuff,
below
so
to
it's all
everything,
good.
to his book, to his upcoming appearances, his Facebook page, whatever we can link down below, we will do it. But yeah, amazing human being, amazing journey in his life. And hopefully he can pry that Brussels sprout recipe out of his stepfather's hands because that sounds
Yes, and
so
go
good.
see marijuana.
Yes. And hey, New Year's Eve is coming. Happy New Year, Charlie Brown. Where
Oh yeah,
did you find it?
exactly. Rediscover, which was an app. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, but Happy New Year, Charlie Brown is one of the ones that was an iconic, like Thanksgiving, blah blah blah. But it's very interesting since it was like the 80s, and it was kind of the Charles Schultz 80s era where he had the Charlie Brown Snoopy show. But it was fun. It definitely was fun.
So go check it out. Check out his book, When You Wish Upon a Star, which sounds like an amazing book. And we are actually going to be doing a film review
Yes.
here in a little bit. So we'll get that up. And then we're taking a break for Christmas.
Yes, we're breaking for Christmas.
We're breaking
We
for
will be back in
Christmas.
January.
So we'll be back in January, everybody. Have a great holiday, whatever holiday you celebrate.